Welcome to another review session on Kaizen Reading Group. So we'll be reading the book Outlier for the past 4 weeks. We started with an introduction into the Rosetta mystery. Then we started part one with Matthew effect, and last week we looked at the 10-hour rule. So today we'll be looking at part one of the trouble with geniuses. And today we have Sophia to take us to review this interesting chapter with us. So Sophia, please confirm that you can hear me
Yes,
so
I can
that
hear you very well. Good evening.
yes. Good evening. So I'll just hand over the virtual mic to you now to just take us through this interesting chapter. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Foma. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. My name is Sophia Omomilayole, and I'll be reviewing this chapter. Someone's mic is on and there's noise. Can you please help me check that? Okay, good. Yes, so I'll be reviewing the parts of the book that is titled The Trouble with Geniuses. So the book we're currently reading is Outliers. And this chapter is quite interesting, even though I had to read it more than once to be able to get it very clearly. Yes, so it is at the beginning. There is a quote that says that knowledge of a boy's IQ is of little help if you are faced with a farm full of clever boys. And this author was able to explain that very well in this chapter. So, what that quote means is that individual IQ is more important than collective or general IQ. That individual intelligence, sorry, is more important than IQ or collective intelligence. Yes. So the book starts with a story of someone, Christopher Langan, that was known as a genius. He has a very high IQ, was measured about 195. That was his intelligence quotient. And he grew up that he doesn't attend classes, but he always come out on top of the class during examinations. He could summarize the whole term book in 2 days. He was very intelligent. But it was in this show where he was against 100 people where they play mob. The show is called One versus 100, and he $1 million was at stake for this competition. And thinking that he's a very intelligent person, people expected him to come out with that $1 million, like win at the end of the day. But it was said that when he got to $250,000, he stepped down when he calculated the risk of losing the game. So you're saying that this person, the way he was described, is someone that is very, very intelligent, that you do not expect him to lose anything. In fact, it was said that there were different people that were brought to do very difficult IQ tests for him and was getting very high scores. So that's one sample. There's also another story of a professor of psychology, Lewis Staman, where he found a young boy who worked as a cleaner, and most of the day he would leave his job to play piano, to make music. And somehow he tested the boy, and the boy had 140 IQ points. And the man was wild that okay, there are so many intelligent people, many people that has very high IQ that are in the, like, do we say that diamonds in the rough? Yes, that it is not recognized. Yes, that their intelligence quotient or their intelligence was not recognized. So after he found that Professor Lewis also found other um intelligent people that had high intelligence quotients. And when he tested them, he was able, at the time in 1921, he decided to take it as his work to find so many people that has high intelligence quotient. And he did that with a team. And at a time, he was able to access over 250,000 children in California, and identified 1,470 children among them with at least over 140 as their intelligence quotient point to 200. And he named them termites. They were like his personal projects that he worked on He nurtured them, and he would even boldly say that there is no competition that any California boy or girl partake in that his termites would not appear as part of the winners. He was very proud, and he also believed them the future of the United States. But he made a mistake. He did not know that he was very overly confident that their intelligence quotient is enough for them to rule the United States and take over the world, or something like that. But he did not notice that there's something that the author said in the book. He said extraordinary achievement is less about talent than it is about opportunity. And he explained this in the story of the students minority that were admitted into University of Michigan Law School, that they came from other universities with lower undergraduate scores and grades. But when they were admitted, a very few percentage of them, there was a study that took place by one of the professors. I think his name was Lempart. Yes, that he made a study, and he found out that so many of these people that were admitted as minority that had low scores, he expected that they would probably do well because they are product of University of Michigan, of course. But he did not expect that their whole life would be perfect, that things would go very well, that they would stand out in their fields, because he thought that they are black and they are minority, and they did not have as high undergraduate scores as the other people, the white students that maybe finished from University of Michigan for their undergraduate studies. But he said that they were genuinely surprised when they did not find any specific discrepancies, that they were doing very well in their fields. And the reason, according to this author, is that outliers are that these people, they are outliers, that they had, although they did not have the same um intelligence quotient or the undergraduate scores as those people, that as the non-minority, but because they had the opportunity, they were able to go through what University of Michigan Law School is like. They became products, because they had passed through, they reached the threshold, they were smart enough. And they explained something that they said the relationship between success and IQ works to a point. Yes, someone that has IQ of 70 and someone that has IQ of 170 can definitely not be the same thing. They would always be different because that is very distant. But when someone has IQ of 120 and someone has IQ of 170 points, there is not going to be significant difference. And he explained this with a basketballer. He said for someone to play as an official basketballer, person has to be about maybe 5'5", 5 foot and 5 inches, yes. But the best basketballer, Michael Jordan, was 6'6". That was his height. And there were people that were 6'8", but were not good enough. They were not as good as Michael Jordan. So it says that the you only have to be tall enough. You don't that it does not mean that the taller you are, the more success you're going to get. That's what it's trying to say. That the more IQ you have, when it gets to a point, when it gets to a threshold, it does not mean that you become more intelligent or more successful than other people. I don't know if you're trying, I'm trying to explain that. Okay, for example, someone is 5'5", 5'5", that's his height, and there's someone that is 6'0". It does not mean that the person that is 6'0" is going to be more successful at the basketball career than someone that is 5'5". You only have to be tall enough. Then the other things like your speed, your accuracy, maybe attention to details, or maybe personal tricks that you have is what is going to make you successful. That being a genius is not what it really takes. Although there is a point that it gets to, like, okay, yes, this is a factor. That maybe people that have very low IQ, maybe 70, for example, and someone that has 120 cannot be the same thing. But the person that has 120, the person that has 170 can be the same thing. But the only difference is going to be that the person that has 170 can maybe think. In fact, there's no even evidence that they can think faster than people that has 120 points IQ. So that's what they call the threshold effect, and it was explained well. Then he also explained another reason the University of Michigan products are also as successful as the people of the non-minority. Yes, he called it. He said it's something like divergence test, and there was an example that was carried out between Poole and Florence. that were exceptional, that were students, exceptional students in their school, and they asked them to give the uses of brick and a blanket. And when Paul gave examples, if you read the book, he gave a lot of examples, like very wild examples, and we're not even in the same category. Like his thinking was very broad from the answers he gave. And there was Florence that just gave the basic common examples of a brick and a blanket. And to say that Florence has an even higher IQ than when Pool has, but it is almost not evident in this divergence test. And the reason is because that the only place or the only way you would see or you would notice that Florence has a high intelligence quotient. If you paid attention to what the writer said at the beginning of this chapter, he said that people that has high IQ are mostly specialized. They mostly specialize their thinking in one place and focus a lot on it. They avoid trivia. They think deeply. Maybe that's one way. But it was said that in this divergent test that was carried out, Poole, which who had a lower intelligence quotient than Florence, although it was not at the bottom pit where it did not have where it was very low, where his IQ was very low, but it was not evident in the test. So it's trying to say that even though they are geniuses, people that has very high intelligence quotient, it does not mean that they become successful. That there are other factors that affect or that would make them more successful, which might be background, the experiences that they have, like people that got opportunity to attend University of Michigan, for example. Then also the basketball and Michael Jordan. I really do not know, but maybe some of the things that he puts in place in practice, maybe maybe his coach has taught him certain skills. But you just have to be smart enough, just have to be tall enough. But you don't, it's not compulsory to have all of it to be as successful as those people. That is what Shada is really talking about. And I'll just conclude with the part that he also said that Teman was obsessed with the IQ, and he had this assurance of like 99% that these people, these Islamites, were going to be the next leaders of the United States. That's what they had was enough for them to do. But it was said that none of the 1,470 termites were failures. Yes, because he said you just have to be smart enough. But at the same time, none of them were Nobel prizes winners. In fact, in the book, there's a part in this chapter, there's a part that gave examples of that listed schools, the schools that the last Nobel prizes winners came from. And Harvard appeared two times in one of the lists and once in another list. But there were other schools that were not as high class as Harvard. And they're also trying to say that you just need, it is about the threshold effect when it comes to intelligence quotient. You just need to have a level of smartness. You cannot, what is trying to say in essence is that maybe person A is, you think the person A is smarter than you are, or maybe person is, okay, even let's say the person is actually smarter than you are. It does not mean that the person is going to be more successful than you are. The challenges, sorry, the experiences you have, the things you put in place, the effort you put into yourself is going to can make you more successful than than the person that has an higher intelligence quotient. So he said that Teman wrote that we have seen that intellect and achievement are far from perfectly correlated. And this is this is the end of this chapter. He says that they have noticed with his research, because he said that he wrote 4 volumes of his book, which he called the genetics of the genius, where they studied all the life of those people that he called the termites, 1,470 of them. And he said that from this study, it has been they've seen that intellect and achievements are not correlated. That the more intellect you have does not determine how successful you would be. Intellect is just one part of it. Then the effort you put into yourself is another very important part of it. Thank you so much for listening to me. That is where I'll be stopping tonight.
Thank you so much, Sophia, for that. I mean, this has been a very interesting chapter. Please, if anyone that wants to contribute, please feel free to raise your hand so that we can hand over the virtual mic to you. I mean, like what Sophia said, as in you just is someone trying to say something? Okay. You just need to have a level of IQ. So being very, very smart, as long as it doesn't mean that you, at the end of the day, other people that are not as smart, you're not as smart as, doesn't mean that they will be successful. That you need more than that. I mean, there's one part of the book that said that having a high IQ doesn't always guarantee success, but I mean, a supportive environment is equally very important. And another part of the book that says that the key to success is not simply intelligence, but the ability for us to navigate social, cultural norms of the environment. And the one thing I took out from this chapter is that practical intelligence includes things like just maybe knowing what to do, what to say, knowing when to say it, knowing how to say it, and then basically just knowing what to do, what to say, and how to say it. Basically, so basically, you don't have to be have so much very high level of IQ for you to IQ enough is not having IQ is not just and it's not enough for you to be successful. You also need other things. I mean, she said that the example about the non-minorities in University of Michigan, those ones that I mean, people didn't think that they were going to at the end of the day excel because they were blacks, they were not giving so much. They felt that they couldn't do as well as the white people. But at the end of the day, they all, I mean, did so well for themselves. And even in the example around the divergence test between Paul and the other person, where I mean, Florence had um, a higher IQ. They both, I mean, went past the threshold, but Paul who had a lower IQ, was able to basically give a lot of instances between when asked to what's the difference to state what they could use a brick and a blanket for. He was able to think beyond the surface and all of that. So, okay, I can see Shamsuddin's hand up. Shamsuddin, please go ahead. Hi, Shamsuddin, I can see your hand up. So let me just pause now and allow you to go
Okay,
ahead. Thank you.
okay. Good evening, everyone. I think that was a beautiful review. Now, my little addition to it is that if you look at that chapter, now, like the moderator has said, and in addition to what he has said, if you look at where we started from in chapter 2, that talent is not enough, timing is a factor, your hard working is a factor, and also opportunities is also a factor. Now, in this chapter 2, your IQ is not enough. Now, the author compared Christopher Langan and Einstein, though he has a very high IQ compared to Einstein, but yet he did not achieve. When you compare the success that Einstein had compared to Christopher Langan, you cannot compare the two, despite the fact that what he has a very high IQ. Also, he also compared Robert, a brilliant physicist, and compared with what Christopher Langan. Now, he says that while Christopher was able to achieve extraordinary success was not because of his IQ, but what? Practical intelligence. I want to say practical intelligence was the ability to navigate social systems, communicate effectively, and assert oneself. So IQ is not enough. All other factors, like we have seen in chapter 2, is also a fact. There are also factors for you to achieve success in life. So one of those things I want us to take away is that one, we should cultivate soft skills. That is communication, emotional intelligence, alongside our technical or academic abilities. So those things are also required for us to what to achieve secrets in life. The number two is what we should try and recognize the importance of mentors, network, and what support systems. we should not rely on talent alone. Talent alone cannot take us far places. Networking is part of it. Then the support system, the opportunities is also needed for us to achieve more. I think I will stop there for others that can also contribute and put things to discuss.
Thank you so much, Shamsuddin. I can see Afi's hand up. Afi, please go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for the beautiful review of the book, Sophia, and thanks, Shamsuddin. All right, so this book is very, very interesting, and it came out with quite a very good examples, illustration, real life. When Taman was doing his analysis on IQ, he was so fixated on IQ being the golden thing in life. Like he foresaw his over 1,400 guys ruling the US in the future. In fact, the book stated that 2 guys that were ruled out, right, that were not quite intelligent enough, they didn't have enough IQ, ended up winning the Nobel Prize. Luis Alvarez in I think 1968 when I checked for that, won the Nobel Prize. But his field workers who were taking statistics actually ruled him out. Another guy was William Shockley, who also ended up winning the Nobel Prize against his fixation on IQ, right? So also, if you bring it down to Nigeria, at one point, there was a man called Aroma Ufodie, the only person that I knew that won the who wants to be a millionaire, 10 million naira grand prize. He wasn't really known to be like a person of high IQ or went to the top best of the schools in the world. But as of today, I have not heard of any news of another person that has won the 5 million naira grand prize. So this also emphasized the fact that really, and there's a book that is titled "Talent is Not Enough," actually, as Shamsuddin said it. So really, right, opportunity networking, very key at some point. The bank chiefs in Nigeria, the founders of Nigerian banks are not known to be first class, right? So opportunity networking, once you have reasonable level of IQ, and the next is self-development, adding, keep learning. Aruma that won 10 million was said to be very interested in developing himself, reading all sort of books. And it was evident on the program that day. He didn't use any lifeline until he reached 5 million naira. So I think self-development, networking, mixing with the right guys, and being focused and being goal-oriented is very, very key to success in life, in addition to a reasonable level of IQ, as the book put it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Afis, for that. I mean, there's one part, like one of the things that Sophia said is that extraordinary achievement is, I mean, less about talent and more about opportunities. So, I mean, you just need the level of IQ for you to be able to succeed by as long as you have opportunities, make use of the opportunities that come your way. You try to, I mean, network, as Afiz and Shasti has also mentioned. You try to have mentors, people that would help you. You try to acquire different skill sets. All of that would basically help you to be, I mean, successful. I mean, if you look at the first what's his name, Langan, in the book, he was someone that had a very high IQ. Langan had a very high IQ, but he was very smart enough to know when it's time for me to walk away instead of keep playing in the game, even though he knew that he was very smart, right? But he was also very very calculated, and he knew when it was time for him to, like, let me just take this money and walk away than continue playing, because like I will end up losing everything. So he was very smart, and he was very confident. He knew when to stop and when to just walk away. So I mean, you just need some level of IQ for you to succeed, as long as you make use of all of the opportunities that come your way. You make use of you make use of the opportunities that come your way. You have mentors in your life. I mean, a lot of great people in Nigeria today. I think most of not some of them are not they were not so smart growing up, right? But they all made use of different opportunities that they had. I mean, I'm sure people like even all of the big names that we know today, right? Even the great MDs of banks, people that are doing very well in the oil and gas and all other industries. Some of them are not so very smart. They just had that level of intelligence, right? They all made use of opportunities. They all made use of networking, meeting people, trying to adding skills, right? Other skills, trying to learn more outside just what they know, just adding different skills. I mean, that has made them to basically achieve all that they've achieved today. So, this I don't know if anyone else would like to contribute at this point. I think we have just 3 minutes left. So this has been a very, very, very interesting chapter. I mean, an interesting book. Outlier has been an interesting book since we started reading like 4 weeks ago. So yeah, I don't know if I think we have just about 2 minutes. But one thing I would just
Sunny is
I'd
raising
like
his
to say,
hand.
oh, okay, Sunny, please go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see that. Sunny, please go ahead.
No problem. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the presentation, and I'm so glad to be here because the topic intelligence quotient has been something that I've never given it hard thought. And the reason is the fact that I do not get to choose what my IQ is, so I don't really I don't really care about things like that. But now that I've listened to the things that I have said, it has given me a new perspective to say. So I'm really glad to be here. However, the thing that I would like to add is that it seems IQ is just about the ability to be like the level of logical ability. So if someone has a 170 IQ, it probably means, I'm just trying to guess though, it probably means that they would have to put less effort in trying to solve difficult problems as compared to someone that has 120. Although there might not be much differences, but it might mean that they need to put less effort compared to someone that has a lower IQ. So that's basically what I've discussed from everything that I've said so far. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sunny, for that. Yeah, thank you so much, Sunny, for that. I think it's 7:59. So maybe in summary, what I would just like to leave us with at this point is that um we should we should not see ourselves that we need to be so smart enough for us to achieve or for us to conquer all that we think we can conquer in terms of trying to excel in. Basically, we don't have to be so smart enough, as we just need to push ourselves, make use of all the opportunities that come our way, um gather all the necessary skills that we know that may just help us along the way in this life, because you never know. I would say they say no knowledge is lost. So you never know when, I mean, that skill set or yeah, that skill set that you have acquired, where you need it someday. So it's just important that we just keep growing ourselves, keep growing ourselves in any way, all the ways we can, and make use of all the opportunities that basically come our way. I think it's 8:01 on the dot. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Please see you same time, 7:30 next week, Saturday. Please don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and the rest, YouTube as well. At this point, I think I'll say thank you, everyone, and do enjoy the rest of your weekend.